Abandoned buildings create an eerie feeling of foreboding. Imagine a shadowy, dark, dilapidated place where the past meets the present and where the feeling of unease is almost a tangible entity. The crumbling walls and floors convey an otherworldly feel of the past that haunts these buildings. Welcome back. Dark Recaps here. These following true stories are so horrifying and creepy that you'll be shivering in your seat. That is, of course, if you're a believer in the afterlife. Before we continue, if you end up enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, consider browsing through some of my other videos on my channel. Let's begin. An Asylum for the Insane. The Kalamazoo Psychiatric Hospital was a tarnished history of misery, death, and madness. It was probably one of the most haunted places in Michigan. It was built in 1885, and it has been the site of many paranormal stories which have been told for decades. The hospital officially opened its doors in late August of 1859. It was originally named the Michigan Asylum for the Insane, when later in 1911 the facility changed its name to Kalamazoo State Hospital. It closed off to the public in 1990. It became abandoned, which gave the building an extremely spooky appearance that made the place so interesting to adrenaline seekers. The building also had a really strong reputation for paranormal activity and mysteries. Locals who lived in the area have repeatedly reported seeing figures walk by the broken windows in the daylight, back when the building was still in existence. The hospital was demolished in 2011, with the land being repurposed for housing units to accommodate low-income seniors. Here is an ominous piece by two people who documented their experience while exploring the inside of the abandoned building. As told by hauntedhouses.com. Quote, "Residents who live in the neighborhood around the buildings have heard the screams and cries of mentally tortured souls coming from the buildings at night. Sensitive people can feel something watching them from the windows of the place, which is very creepy indeed. Tom and I definitely felt a disturbed spiritual energy and presence coming from the building, from just standing on the sidewalk. We are not particularly psychic, but if the aura is strong, we do feel it." End quote. A user that goes by the name of FireGecko5 has shared his experience of visiting the abandoned psychiatric hospital in the past. He continues to explain that after 13 years of abandonment, nearly every window and mirror in the facility was shattered, except for one solitary mirror which was hung on a wall. It was found intact. Quote, "There used to be an abandoned psychiatric hospital in Kalamazoo, Michigan, that my friends and I would explore on the weekend nights in 2003. It was 4 floors plus a basement which included a morgue, and we explored every nook and cranny of that place. Judging by the most recent magazines in the 4th floor waiting room, it seemed to have closed in 1990. The previous institution just up and left everything Chernobyl style. Furniture, equipment, drugs, patient files, and so on. We even found some suicide reports. By 2003, the place was broken and trashed by vandals while the building itself decayed. It looked worse than the hospitals in the Silent Hill games. That's not even the creepiest, most mysterious part. I once entered a room and saw a mirror that wasn't broken. Everything in this entire building was destroyed, except this one pristine mirror still mounted on the wall. I've never seen anything more out of place, and I get chills just thinking about it." End quote. What a truly scary place, if you ask me. Some articles suggest that the Kalamazoo Psychiatric Hospital was also the place to several horrific murders. Allegedly in 1904, a doctor was attacked by a mentally ill patient and was stabbed to death. In addition, a young 21-year-old nurse was also murdered in this hospital. Her name was Marilyn. She was on the main floor of the building before getting lured to the basement away from her main post. It was then when she got attacked by an 18-year-old mentally ill patient. The cause of her death was asphyxiation. The ghost of Gerhardt's Mill. In Russia, we have many abandoned construction sites and buildings. You can find a lot of reports on the internet about haunted post-Soviet buildings in this country. I live in Volgograd, which is located in the south of Russia. We have one building which for sure is haunted. I am speaking from my own personal experience here. This building is called Gerhardt's Mill. It was built in 1899 and it was used to produce flour at the time. It was destroyed during the Battle of Stalingrad and now remains as a landmark of the war. I am a believer of ghosts and I believe that there is an afterlife. The night I am about to describe to you only reinforced these feelings. I have some other friends that share the same beliefs as me as well. One day, me and 3 other friends had made a decision to sneak into the Gerhardt's Mill. During the daytime, there is a museum which is open to the public, and the place gets quite busy at those times. However, once the sun sets and everyone leaves, there is something very eerie about Gerhardt's Mill. The damaged walls and missing roof gave it an extremely spooky place to visit at night. We really wanted to explore the building in the dark, in the absence of everybody. So it was a Tuesday night. We had picked the quietest day of the week to make sure nobody was around. It was around 1:30 in the morning when we had made our way inside the building. We were in a group of 4. It was dark, cloudy, and extremely silent that night. All you could hear was the gentle sound of the river next to the building. There was no wind that night either, which helped us stay alert in case there was any security around. As we were walking throughout the building, we had decided to split into pairs, with 2 of us going into different parts of the building. The other 2 wanted to stay on the outside and find out if there was a possible entrance to get up to the 2nd floor. Me and my friend Igor were walking towards the back of the building through the inside. As we stepped over the ruins, we heard the whisper of our other 2 friends fade in the distance. Making our way slowly, we were promptly stopped by what sounded like 2 muffled pistol gunshots. The sound of it echoed and bounced off the walls. It wasn't so clear and obvious, but it was enough to make us both look at each other and panic. We thought maybe it was the security and they were trying to scare us off. We were puzzled. We knew the history of the building and couldn't believe the fact that the sound of the gunshots were real. We ran out of the building to find the other 2 friends and asked them if they heard any sounds of a gun. They hadn't. I remember the goosebumps running down my neck. Shockingly, they told us that they heard something else which was even more terrifying. Apparently, as they made their way around the corner of the building, they heard the sound of a crumbling wall and some man screaming in the distance. We all looked at each other distressed. Literally spooked the F out. I could feel my heart beat faster and the adrenaline soar. We got the hell out of there as fast as we could. So yeah, I still get the same fright when I think about that night. Get out of here to stay alive. This might seem like a crazy story, but it was for sure one of the most insane experiences in my life. It was a week just before the school closed for the Christmas holidays. I was out celebrating one of my friend's birthdays, and I knew there was no way I would get to bed at a decent hour, but I tried. It was a rough night, and I couldn't remember much of it. The next day I woke up groggy and my head felt fuzzy. I had a really bad hangover. One of my mates from the party texted me to ask if I am feeling all right. After a few calls, we met up in the park to have a small drink. We thought that would help with the hangover since he was feeling bad too. We always did this. It was around 7 p.m. when we finished up the few beers we had. I was feeling a little tipsy, but I was all right. As we walked back towards my house, we smoked a little bit of weed. I could feel that I was getting slower and slower. My mate was talking to me, but I found it hard to follow what he was saying. Unbelievably, I somehow woke up on a cold bench next to this really creepy abandoned factory. My friend was also asleep not too far from me. I got my phone out to check the time. It was around midnight. I could see there were some people around on the other side of the street, but nobody really seemed interested in us. We were pretty much in the dark. I was sure nobody could see us. It had gotten quite chilly. There was fog too. You can imagine, it was December. I woke my friend up and asked him what the hell had happened. He said that we had sat down and he couldn't remember anything else after that. I looked around, but it was really hard to see anything. I got up and walked around the area. On the side of the abandoned building, I saw the graffiti on the wall. It said, "Get out of here to stay alive," and then a heart with a peace sign over it. It had really worn off, so it looked kind of cool. I was always attracted to creepy stuff. I went back and told my mate what I found, so he got up and followed me back to it. We wanted to quickly see what was inside before we headed back home. We went to the door that was buried in the debris, and we slowly made our way through it. So we went in. It was completely dark. We didn't know where to start. We used our phone flashlights to see where we were going. Inside, we found a completely empty room with nothing except for piles of garbage everywhere. I tried to find anything interesting, but there wasn't anything, just one broken chair that looked like someone tried to burn it with fire. There was a second floor in the building. The stairs looked rickety, so we walked very slowly. The place was just plain creepy. It felt like something bad happened there. As we made our way upstairs, we heard some creepy whistling somewhere distant on the second floor. It wasn't a happy song type whistle. It sounded really sinister, if you get me. We just stood there for a split second, with our ears tight. We felt like someone was looking at us from the darkness. Next thing we knew is that we needed to get the hell out of there, and so we did. Thank you for watching. What did you think of these stories? Would you have different reactions to the given situations? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please consider leaving a like on this video. If you're hungry for more content like this, subscribe to me. Dark Recaps. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.